The Rams are going to Hawaii. They signed a new kick returner. They're getting a new alternate helmet. Stafford's contract's a little bit different than we originally thought. We'll talk about all that next on this off-season update episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network.
Got
What's
a new
going on,
vid
Rams
there.
Nation?
Nice.
Yep. Rams Nation. Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Mark. Share this video if you're on YouTube. If you're on the podcast only side of things, share this podcast with all your fellow Rams and football fans out there. Either or, we very much appreciate it. Mark, it's the offseason, baby. How you holding? How you holding up? No football yet.
Yeah, this is the first time we've been together since, what was it, day 2 or 3 of the draft when I was on my vacation. So good to
Yeah.
get back, good to sync up with you again, and lots to talk about.
Lots to talk about indeed, Rams Nation. So let's get started here. The Rams offseason program has begun as players are reporting to the facility out there in the valley. You see here, if you're on YouTube with us, Cooper Kupp is no longer pictured in this starting wide receiver, core, and that's, that makes me sad deep down. But you see Puka Nacua in his new number 12. You see Devontae Adams in 17 rocking the Jordan cleats, Tutu Atwell back, and then Jordan Whittington, a sleeper wide receiver, in my opinion, for this team, who I think deserves some serious playing time. That will be the group that will probably see the most playing time at wide receiver, but other big news outside of them reporting and getting, chemistry with Matthew Stafford as a wide receiver group, along with all our other, free agents and whatnot, is the Rams. Mark, this is crazy, but it's cool. The Rams are going to Hawaii for minicamp. Wow. As it was announced today by team officials, by pretty much everyone involved with the Rams, that they will be out there for a 4-day stretch starting in June, where they will be in Hawaii and hope to have a great, outreach program and future outreach programs with, the state of Hawaii and all the islands, and, get more fan base nationwide, worldwide, as Hawaii, Australia very soon, as we talked about in previous episodes, how they have, outreach programs in all the Asian nations of the world, it feels like, and other places too, obviously Mexico and other parts of South America, but good on the Rams. They're just trying to say, you know what? We're going to take this opportunity and get as many fans worldwide as possible. And I think this is a fantastic, smart idea, just business-wise, but also pretty damn smart, for anyone who loves football out there in Hawaii who, doesn't get a lot of NFL love like they used to when the Pro Bowl was out there, right, Mark?
Yeah, and it's also especially nice of the Rams, and I don't know if this is part of the thought process, but as a lot of you probably know, Maui tourism has really been really dinged pretty badly due to the fires. And if you haven't figured it
Yeah.
out, I was just in Kauai, and then we get back and I see this, and the first thing I did was start looking up resort hotels near War Memorial Stadium. And I'm not going to fit it into the budget though, but hey, Maui needs all the help they can get, and it's going to help a little bit. It's a good gesture by the Rams, but they probably would be doing it regardless. But it's a little shot in the arm for Maui tourism, perhaps. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, good thing for sure. And but I hope everyone out there, has recovered as much as they humanly possibly could have with the fires that, took place out there. As, we understand a little bit of the fire devastation out here in Southern California as that goes on every so often, just like it recently did this past football season during the playoff, kind of part of the season for the Rams. But I think it's a good idea. Get some good spirits back in that region, and then obviously get some pro football back as well. And smart move, business wise, professional wise, sports wise, all of it combined. this is pretty cool, and I think this is something they'll probably do based on what the governor of Hawaii said, based on what Kevin Demoff, Rams team president, said. This is a partnership that they want to, keep going for many, many years. So I expect this to be the case for the foreseeable future, outside of just this 2025 minicamp or Maui camp. The Rams are going to call it. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
going forward.
And,
Pretty
and you
cool.
got to think Puka, Polynesian descent, he's got to be super
Yeah.
popular there, right? It has to
Oh
be.
yeah, it'll be on fire. He's a Samoan man, and many Samoans are out there in Hawaii, and they'll make the trip from island to island to go see his ass. You can count on that. So good on the Rams. Good on Maui to bring some positive light to the people there that want it, and it's pretty dang cool. And I'm glad it's not training camp because I still want to see them out here for training camp. So Maui camp, mini camp is fine with me. But other big news, Rams Nation, that may not have been like a oh my god headliner on all the other big sports shows and whatnot, but to us, I think this is a big deal for multiple reasons. And what is that? That is Rams signing former Pro Bowl kick returner slash wide receiver Britain Covey to a 1-year deal. And this man was a 2023 Pro Bowler for the Philadelphia Eagles for his return ability, both on kick returns and punt returns. Dude was legit. And in 2024, unfortunately for him, he dealt with tons of injuries and he was nicked up a lot. Yes, he was a part of a Super Bowl winning team, but his last fully healthy season, he was absolutely fantastic, Mark and Rams Nation. So why is this a big deal? Well, with the Rams now going to have to be forced to return kicks more than I'm sure Sean McVay, will ever admit that he wants to. With the new rules being that, hey, the touchback will be brought out to the 35. So teams will be like, nope, we're not taking touchbacks against a Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay-led offense. We're kicking this thing. We're going to make him return it. So yes, Jordan and Winnington, I thought, did a damn good job. But hey, let's get somebody else back there that has some pretty dang good experience being an all-star level guy at it with Covey. And I think this was a great signing for that, for the punt returns, obviously. But, Mark, I think this is good, dude. I think this is a good signing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, I did a little, my first 53 plus one roster exercise last
Yeah.
night. And it's tough, trying to figure out what this roster is going to look like. And so that's the question I have, and I don't have the answer. This wide receiver room, how many are they going to carry? And who are the guys with similar skill sets? Xavier Smith and Covey, maybe. I'm not sure. So I'm not sure if he's a lock for this roster necessarily, but you make some good points. It makes sense for the Rams to try to find a way to squeeze him in on this roster, given the new rules for sure.
I mean, guys, Rams Nation, just picture with me here. How many times has McVay just, the last couple of years has been better-ish, or actually last season was better, but too many years where the special teams has just been neglected, especially the return stuff, right? Obviously, again, Jordan Winnington, I think, will have a role in that. He was good at the end of the season returning. I thought he did one hell of a job. But to have somebody else with experience, I think this is a big, big deal. And unless he wets the bed and fumbles in practice and muffs punts and kicks, I mean, I expect him to make this team. But, we said similar things about Boston Scott being signed last year, another former Eagle, and things didn't work out that way. But I think face value as of today, before the pads go on, before real practice and joint practices and preseason all kicks off, I think he should make the team, but he's got to earn it, of course. But I think, again, for the new kickoff stuff where teams are not going to be wanting to kick touchbacks and returning is going to be at a premium and is going to be very, very common, I like this signing. I like this signing a lot.
And there's always injuries. Someone's going to get dinged up. So he'll certainly have a really good shot at making this roster.
Yeah, I think so as well. So pretty good. We'll see what happens, and how that unfolds, Rams Nation. But I think another contract that needs to be discussed at least one more time, as we have been trying to give good updates on the Stafford situation. It's, it is all unfolding over time where we're all worried he was going to go somewhere else, yada, yada, yada. we released a video and a podcast not too long ago when he officially had signed, but we got one last little tidbit update that I think we need to discuss really quick is by Ian Rappaport and others have now officially reported that the finalized terms on his deal say that he will earn $44 million this year, not 40 as it was originally reported. Now, everything that I had discussed in that reaction video is the same, other than the Rams kicked him $4 million before the signing as like a show of like good faith. So that's why he's getting $44 million. But I think what's the next important detail of this contract, and I'll read what Ian Rappaport of NFL Media, tweeted out. If Matthew Stafford is on the Rams roster, next year at the start of free agency, so which would be like when the new league year kicks off in March, like it does every year, he'll lock in another $40 million. And Stafford was on the books for $58 million over 2 years, but now it is $84 over 2 years. Other than again that extra $4 million the Rams shot him, like, hey, don't worry, this is getting done. Here's this $4 million out of good faith. But again, I just think it's really important, Rams Nation. If he is on this team by the start of the next league year or free agency around that time period, I might be mixing the two together. Apologies. The next start of free agency, he will be a Ram. And I think that's very good because there won't be this drama of like, oh, we have to go back to the negotiation table and have this long drawn out thing of what the number is going to be and all that stuff like it was this last season. There won't be any of that. There won't be no Tom Brady ski resort, visits and talks. There won't be, hey, we're hiring your brother on the Giants so we can sway you here. There won't be any of that. If he's on the team still when free agency starts, he's a lock as a Ram. And I think that's pretty cool, Mark.
Yeah, no more of this playing chicken with our quarterback every
Yeah.
season. And I think we're clearing up a lot of cap space next year. So I don't think it's going to be a lot of dead cap money. I believe Aaron Donald's dead cap comes off. So we'll be
Yeah.
well positioned. I think we're really well positioned the next 2 years, although it's a little deceiving for 2027 because we have so many young players. A bunch of them are going to be up for new contracts, obviously. But yeah, we'll be in good shape next year. And we can make that work for Stafford one more season, hopefully, and maybe we'll have our next quarterback drafted next year, 1 year, playing behind Matthew Stafford, and we're good to go.
And that'd be great. And again, for everyone out there, Matthew Stafford's the 15th highest paid quarterback per year right now. Dude's top 10 minimum. You can argue top 5 depending on how you value a quarterback in terms of clutch factor and playoff performances and all. And I think he is deserving of top 5 for that alone. So we're getting a bargain deal. Be grateful, be happy, and let's enjoy the final couple years of Matthew Stafford with, a hopeful Super Bowl parade out here in Los Angeles. The second one for him, obviously. So that's a quick little update.
I would put it into perspective like this. Weeks 1 through 6, he's a top 20 quarterback. Playoff start, he's top 3. How about that?
It feels that way, and we're getting a bargain for that. So 37-year-old or not, it's deserved, and I'm glad that he wanted to stay as, Albert Breer reported that, the Raiders and the Giants were willing to give him, over the $50 million per year, value. Look, we all knew. Do you want to play for the Giants who are rebuilding and the coaches and GM are uncertain if they're going to be around next season in 26? Do you want to do that? Do you want to play for the Raiders who are rebuilding? I know Tom Brady and Spytek, the GM, were talked about well as a good owner and a good GM. And yes, Pete Carroll, but are you even going to win your division or even finish second in the West out there in the AFC? No. All those scenarios don't make sense. Stafford left Detroit to play meaningful football. Those two other organizations, no matter how much more money it was going to be, I think the dude is fine with the money he's made in his life. I think the highest paid NFL player in history at this point now. Let's win some championships, get some more hardware on the fingers, and get you a gold jacket. And I'm glad he went that route instead of the money route.
Absolutely.
So, Rams Nation, another quick little update, as we know many of you have been, or me as well, all of us, have been like, okay, when's Ramsey going to be a Ram again? Right? As it just feels like that is bubbling up into fruition. But I think it's important to talk about that nothing is going to happen until June 1st, guys. And why do I say that? Well, let's talk about real quick what the Dolphins would be screwed into if they were to trade him before June 1st. So the dead money that they would have on Ramsey would be 25.2 million in dead money. That is a lot. It would be even more than what they already owe him as it is, which is around 21 million in real money, and his cap hit being 16.6 as it is right now. But if they trade him after June 1st, what would his dead money be? It would only be 6.7 million. So just for the financials of the Dolphins, and if you were the GM of the Dolphins, would you say, hey, let's trade Jalen Ramsey today and our dead money will be 25 million? Or we wait another 3 weeks where there's no rush and only our dead money will only be 6.7. That's the reality, guys. So we'll have to see if the Rams do pull the trigger, right? There's still the financials of how much of the guaranteed money that the Dolphins are going to eat or not eat, depending on the draft compensation and all that, of course. But just from a strict cap perspective, the Dolphins are not trading him until after June 1st, right, Mark? I mean,
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And yeah, that's usually how teams do it. That's what they did with Cooper Cup, right? And I just got to say, I'm all distracted by that uniform that the graphic god came up with. If you're listening on the podcast, you're missing out. Tell us about this uniform, Ian. That's what I want to know about.
yeah. So, and this will tie into we'll bring this up now then.
Well, okay. Before you
So
get into that,
picture,
I'm sorry I took you off track there. Back to Ram. We'll get into the uniforms, but I did want to say
we'll talk
about
about that next.
Ramsey. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I just this uniform blows me away. I love it. But so let me ask you this: some X's and O's. We bring Ramsey on board. We're not going to deploy him as a CB1. He's going to play that star position or something. Well, talk us through that. How will they use him? And I'm especially interested, if the Rams are going to put their 11 best defenders on the field at times anyway. I know there's different alignments, different situations, but I'm trying to figure out how they would use Quentin Lake and Jalen Ramsey in the same secondary. Witherspoon and Williams on the corners, Durant potentially the slot corner. Can you walk us through how you would see Ramsey fitting into this defense?
Yes. So Jalen Ramsey is not the Hall of Fame 2020 version that we all witnessed during that number one defensive run that we had during the COVID season. Dude was special in that season. He was locking down number one wide receivers like no other I had seen from a Rams corner in the history of this franchise. Sincerely, it was special. He is not that guy anymore. I've watched some of his film the last couple seasons with the Dolphins, and he's just not that dude. And that is I mean, that like for you to have lockdown capabilities like that, that is Hall of Fame level talent. It is, right? And that's okay to say that he's not that guy anymore. Doesn't mean he's not a good football player and not a good corner overall. That's not what I'm saying. But for anyone expecting him to come in and just play boundary outside corner and, all right, go match up with A.J. Brown all game like he did back in 2020, or DK Metcalf when he was locking him up twice a year, or all the other receivers that you can think of where it's like, all right, we got to shut him down. That's not his style, not his game anymore. And I don't think he would ever admit that. But I just think just watching his tape, that's just not his thing. And we can even picture back in the end of 2021 where he was getting smoked a little bit at the end of games. 2022, he still played good, but he wasn't locking dudes down. That's okay to admit. So what would his overall role be now, a handful of years later, Mark Rams Nation? We created the star position for him because why? Let's just be honest. He didn't like being the shutdown corner because he thought it was boring and took him out of the game action. I mean, he said this. This isn't anything I'm making up or anything new. So Raheem Morris, Sean McVay, and him got together and said, how can we get you more involved around the football, making plays, tackles, interceptions, playmaking, all that? They created the star position, and we called it the star because Jalen Ramsey, was a star player for us. And what that is basically he was playing in the nickel spot, or he was a slot corner playing up against slot receivers to be closer to the ball, right? Closer to the line of scrimmage, closer to the action, right? You're not far away to the sideline like you were as an outside corner. So we created that position for him, even though during that season, I think he was more, you know, needed at the outside corner, locking dudes down. But I think at this point in his career, you have Akello Witherspoon stay on the outside. You have Darius Williams and or Kobe Durant stay on the outside as well. You have Jalen Ramsey be full-time in that nickel or star position that the Rams like to call it, and have him be that. I think it would work out so well. I think he would welcome it. I think he would be happy to do that. Again, we created that position for him to be around the ball more. And I think that's how it would be. Now, would there be a time you say, hey, go line up outside? Of course. I'm not saying he would never see any action on the outside, but I think primarily get him into that slot star position, move Quentin Lake back to traditional safety, and then let's have Cameron Kitchens and Cameron Curl battle out for that traditional up top safety spot, and then let's have people battle out for that dime safety or that dime linebacker that McCullough played, right? Just let's get the best group assembled possible, but I think Jalen would definitely earn that star slot position immediately. And on top of that, Rams Nation, no one likes to play the star for us since Ramsey left. No one has enjoyed it. Quentin Lake said he's uncomfortable with it, but will do whatever it takes to make plays. Kobe Durant said he was uncomfortable at times. Darion Kendrick said wherever you can get playing time, but he's more used to the outside. My God, everyone who has been forced into that has not preferred it. That's just a fact. Quentin Lake has done a good job, but he's talked about he'd rather play traditional up top safety. So I think this helps things on gazillion different levels, both player-wise, personnel-wise, and psychological for this team. And I think that's a long story explanation to give you why it would work, and I think why it would be worth trading for him for that purpose alone, right?
Yeah, that's a very good answer, and I think you've gone over this once before. I just need to keep on hearing it. We all need to learn from you how this is going to work. And yeah, it sounds like there's going to be a player or two that maybe lose some snaps in this scenario, but I think they're all going to get some playing time eventually. But I was mostly concerned about how they would use Quentin Lake because I don't, remember he didn't miss a snap last year until that Week 18 game. So yeah, having him slide back to safety makes sense.
Yeah, and again, I mean, let all the safeties battle out for who's going to have what and what role. Like, does Cameron Kitchens, stay at free and then Quentin goes to strong or whatever combo? Does Curl lose the strong spot? Because I think he's more of a strong safety, not really a free safety. Does he lose the strong spot and then is only deployed now as a dime, linebacker or a dime safety closer to the line of scrimmage, which I think he's good at? So, I mean, I think any scenario, I think it'll work out. And I think, let the best men win the job. But I think Ramsey would be that star slot corner that he originally always wanted to play. And I think that's a need for us. So we'll see. We shall see, Rams Nation. But that's your update. Again, Dolphins ain't training him until after June 1st. It just makes way more financial sense for them to do it. Instead of $25 million in dead money, only 6.7. If you were the GM of the Dolphins, what would you choose? I think you know the answer to that. So we'll see in a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, if Ramsey does come back to the Rams, and I hope that does come to fruition. But to Mark's original comment about this uniform jersey for Ramsey,
sorry, man, I couldn't help myself there. Sorry.
No, it's fun. It's fun. So if you're on YouTube, you obviously are looking at this photo here. Shout out to the Graphic God who does fun jersey swaps, uniform edits, and other fun sports related, photo editing creations and uniform creations and all that stuff. Check it out. Check it out. Twitter, X, Instagram, the Graphic God. So here pictured is a white alternate jersey uniform, helmet and all, of the Rams. And Jalen Ramsey is obviously wearing it. So why do I have this and some other photos I'll share? Well, it's because it is for sure happening and confirmed, Rams Nation. The Rams will have a new alternate helmet in 2025. As how do I know that? Well, Riddell Sports, their official account, had a tweet as we had talked about, during the draft last week that the NFL rivalries program, similar to the Color Rush program where every team got a new uniform then, will also get a new uniform in this program where it'll be worn against your division rivals for a game at home. Rams Seahawks, Rams Niners, Rams Cardinals. And in that, everyone's getting a new uniform, but now it is officially confirmed that everyone will get a new helmet in tandem with this new uniform. As Riddell Sports says, a unique reflection of the communities they represent. We can't wait to bring new helmet designs from each NFL club to the field and fans over the next 4 years with NFL and with, Nike football. So Rams are getting a new alternate helmet, Rams Nation, and uniform. Now, what will that be? I mean, we'll have to wait and see maybe before training camp when a lot of new alternate uniforms get released. Maybe they don't do it then. Maybe they wait till September to say, oh, this will be the rivalry special game where both teams will have the new uniforms and helmet. But to the Ramsey picture there, I guess we're just trying to wish into existence that the uniform will look cool. And in this version here, it is an all-white version of our modern uniform, but the helmet is all white with blue horns. It looks pretty dang cool. So this is, again, shout out to the graphic god. And he did a similar one with Aaron Donald. Same thing, just more of a side profile here if you're tuning in on YouTube. All-white jersey with blue numbers, blue, horn kind of sleeve stripes, whatever the Rams want to call that. And then all-white helmet with a blue horn going down the side. I think that'd be pretty dang cool. But my hope is if it's not going to be that, maybe they do a version of the 50s uniform that we wore when it was, yellow jersey. It's like, okay, if they're going to get a new helmet then, screw it. Give me yellow jersey, yellow helmet with the blue horns, and obviously maybe white pants and blue socks to kind of mirror that 1950s championship team. Just like how this white one would be mirroring the 1960s era, just inverted as well, right? All blue and white. So I know, Mark, I'm pessimistic about the about the uniform and Nike's choices for us because I don't like the bone uniform at all. I think aesthetically it just looks bad. I don't like the gradients on our Royal jerseys. It just looks bad. I'm not a fan overall of the broken horn and the LA logo or the rebrand as a whole. I'm just not an overall fan of, hey, we're winning, won championships, or we won a championship, so be it. But based on all that, I don't have a lot of faith that this new alternate rivalry uniform and helmet will be good looking. Because if we know anything from the City Connect uniforms that the NBA pushes out every season and that the MLB pushes out every season, some of those uniforms flat out suck. So I hope ours do not suck, but I don't have a lot of reason to believe that it'll be good based on our design choices since the rebrand. I know.
Yeah, the City Connect aspect really throws a wrench into it. They could go so many different ways if that's the path they're taking, as opposed to, what you're showing here with Aaron Donald, the blue and white. I don't think that would necessarily answer the City Connect aspect. So,
Yeah.
but I have to say, like I shared with you before, the Rams being in, a city like Los Angeles, with one of the richest sports franchises on the planet, they should be able to come up with a darn good design. I'm not as pessimistic as you are, and I understand why you are, but their new logo has kind of grown on me. At first, I was kind of like, yeah, but it's grown on me, and I'm okay with it. I just hope that we deserve the best. LA Ram fans deserve the best. I really feel that way. So hopefully they come through for us.
Yeah, and I do hope that too. I mean, obviously, reason why I'm pessimistic is obviously the rebrand and all the designs. Even though I do like the modern throwback, right, the white jersey that they launched as an alternate, but then realized that everyone was in love with it because why? No gradients, white, blue, and yellow are on the jersey, and I still don't like the name tag pad. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I don't like, whatever. But that was just the best looking clean jersey possible, and everyone loved it. Shocker. So I do hope that maybe they learn from that. And they are learning as they've been phasing out the bone uniform every year since 21. They've smartly said, okay, no, this will be the main away jersey. The bone will now be the alternate. And they don't even wear it 3 times a year like you are able to as an alternate. So they know, like, hey, we might have messed up on that. And I'm glad, they're hopefully are leaning towards that and phasing that out completely. But that plus Kevin Demoff's original comments back before the rebrand, launched, where people have came out that were, or Rams fans have came out that were a part of these, fan input meetings before they launched the rebrand. And, Kevin said, like, hey, we're not trying to look like a team from the 70s anymore. It's like, gosh dang it. So you can any throwback uniform you're hoping for, right? Anything that we wore at the Coliseum, right? The classic blue and yellow that we all love, or any 60s or 50s or any other version of those things in previous LA teams. I don't think that's happening anytime soon, which leads to my my pessimism, but whatever. Win football games, hoist Lombardi trophies, get ring hardware. That's what matters at the end of the day, but I do hope this rivalry uniform and helmet look good, and it's not some palm tree sand color, or there's a Hollywood sign in the background of the number. I please just don't, because I know some of the City Connect stuff for the NBA and MLB suck like that. Please, 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 I hope not to see that. So all these graphics we're showing here with you on YouTube is us, so I guess willing better designs into fruition.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to that. Every time there's a primetime game, I text family members, oh, we're going to get the Santa Monica Pier tonight, and we might get the Hollywood sign. And there's so much more to LA than the Hollywood sign and the Santa Monica Pier. And actually, there was a game last year where they did a drone shot of the Palos Verdes coast, which was really cool. A nice change up cool, Laguna Beach. I don't know where it was, but they changed it up a little bit at least one time.
Yeah. So I mean, for football God's sake, let me get at least a cool yellow helmet or a cool white helmet, or I'm fine with black. Just don't give me some wacky palm tree design or sandy beach or Hollywood logo or anything weird. Just or Hollywood Walk of Fame star. Just please don't do that to me, Rams. Please don't do that to me. But anyway, that's your update on that. And that's why we had that fun Ramsey photo earlier. But again, real quick, it is confirmed Rams are getting a new helmet in 2025 for this rivalry, color rush-esque edition that the NFL is launching, starting with, again, the NFC West and the AFC East, and every team eventually will get a new uniform. So for the first time in a long time, Mark, the Rams are getting a new helmet that is not the standard blue and yellow horns, which is interesting. I wonder what it'll be.
Can't wait.
But yep, I can't wait, and it better be good. Dang it! And that's the last I'll say of that. But what else, Rams Nation? Some other fun stuff has been going on in the Rams universe as New York Knicks Mikal Bridges shouts out, the Rams, as he has been very vocal of his Rams fandom as he wears Rams jerseys and always talking about them, as not only did he have a great moment tonight in Game 2 of this NBA playoffs, but he shouted them out earlier in the week after Game 1 as Fred Katz asked him, last play of the game, you stole the ball. Pass tracks over your head. Why are you looking? As Mikal Bridges had a game-sealing steal at the end of Game 1 against the Boston Celtics. Mikal Bridges said, Cam, asking his teammate, how I tracked the ball? Cam Payne said, Rams? Mikal smirked and says, I'm a football guy, watching his eyes. And then Fred said, you're Sauce Gardner. And Mikal said, Witherspoon. I'm a Rams fan. Referring to Kel Witherspoon, our corner. So, I love it, man. He's all in with us. And then tonight, Rams Nation, in Game 2, he did the exact same thing to seal it for a victory for his New York Knicks. Almost exact scenario. So this football background that Mikal is talking about, watching Rams games, watching our corners, I'm sure he'll be happy to see Ramsey back if that ever happens in a month or so. But Rams getting love on a big spotlight. Love it.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't even know who this guy was, and I was texting my son, who's a big NBA guy, and he said, "Oh yeah, Bridges is always shouting out the Rams." And the Witherspoon reference, I guess that maybe has something to do with that pick in the Cardinal game, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and I looked him up, and he's from Philadelphia, which I found interesting. But there's a lot of East Coast guys, our buddy Paul Walia, that fell
Yep.
in love with the helmet, the uniform, the team, and stuck with them, even though they're East Coast guys. So, yeah, welcome aboard, Mikkel.
Shout out to Mikael, man. He's a true Rams fan. He's not some bandwagon guy. I mean, if you're naming Witherspoon, you're watching games, and he does. I mean, he's talked about it. He's been on NFL Network. He's legit. He's legit. So it's fun for him to share this after a great moment in a playoff game, and he did it again tonight, Rams Nation. So those Witherspoon Rams football skills that he's talking about coming in handy in 2 playoff games in a row for him, making big time plays. It's pretty dang cool. So again, shout out to Mikal Bridges of the New York Knicks, our fellow Rams fan. Maybe you'll see this. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we got to be careful that he's doesn't get Puka thinking that he can play for the Knicks now. That
Well, Puka will probably play some type of professional basketball one day. I just envision him being in China somewhere or Spain. I could just see that happening. I think he's talked about that too. But oh well, we'll have him winning championship for us in the meantime before his basketball days. But other than that, Rams Nation, I mean, what's some other big news that's popping up very very soon? Well, I mean, guys, the NFL schedule release is 1 week away next Wednesday. As I'm excited for this, Marquez. We're gonna get all the nitty gritty about who the Rams play and when. Now, we do know the full opponents, right? As the home opponents are, of course, and away opponents are always the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Cardinals. Our standard home and away games that will happen until the NFL realigns, which, I don't see any new teams coming in or any of that happening. But the other home games that are important, right? Detroit Lions, I expect that to be a primetime game. We'll find out. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that could be with Baker Mayfield and them being a good team. New Orleans Saints says, who knows what that's going to be for them, but it seems like the last so often there's been a lot of primetime games against them for whatever reason. Houston Texans on the rise, could be a primetime game here in LA, and Indianapolis Colts are trying to figure their things out. But, who are the away opponents? Carolina Panthers, our friends in Atlanta, Raheem Morris, and others, as we hope they have a bad season so we get their draft pick, much higher. And we'll have a say in that playing them. Philadelphia Eagles out there. Could that be the kickoff game? Because our playoff game was so insane and every team got their ass whooped by Philly. They say, oh, Rams played them the best. That will be a great Thursday season kickoff banner night game. I think that's a strong possibility. Then we play Jacksonville with old friends Gladstone and Liam Cohen running the show there. Tennessee Titans now with Cam Ward, and then we have another big game as always out there in Baltimore against the Ravens. So big games, tough schedule as always, right? Rams are playing a first place schedule, having first place opponents they got to play. So there's a great opportunity for a lot of these games to be on primetime television, Mark. Sunday night, Monday night, the kickoff game to start the season. Thursday night, I expect Rams to have 5 of them at least.
Yeah, that was my prediction as well. Now, I hadn't really considered the possibility of the Rams Eagles in that Thursday night game. It's entirely
Oh
possible,
yeah.
though.
I think
Yeah,
I think that's going to happen, honestly.
yeah, and that could be a big advantage. Well, first of all, let me say, the Rams do have 9 away games and 8 home games, and so that is another reason why you'd expect them to start on the road, whether it's Philadelphia or I'm
Yeah.
thinking one of those Southern teams, the Panthers, the Jags, someone like that. But that's an advantage in 2 ways to get the Eagles early on the road. It's a game you're probably going to be the underdog. If you lose a road game to a powerhouse team, it's not the end of the world. And then you got 10 days till your next game, and which would probably be a home game. So they'd be well positioned regardless what happens. But hey, go steal a win from the Eagles in week 1. That would be a big step, a step in the right direction. This team's going to be in the playoffs. I feel very strongly about that. It's just a matter of, they're going to win the division. They're going to Have to deal with the 49ers in that fourth place schedule. That's a big advantage for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny thing about the schedule. I think it reveals a lot about your personality. Every time I see the schedule, every time I see the Rams schedule, I look at holy crap, what a difficult schedule. And everybody every fan of every team is probably saying the same thing. So you got to get over
Yeah.
that. We know who they're going to play. It's just the order we're trying to figure out. And overall, I don't think it's, the Ravens, Lions, Eagles on their schedule. Is that right? The Ravens, Eagles, and who's third? Yeah, the Lions, the four oddball teams. Those are tough draws. But other than
Yep.
that, it's a very, I'm not going to say it's an easy schedule, but, the AFC South and NFC South, that's the two weakest divisions on our schedule. So,
No, it is. It is. So I mean, hey, look it. Rams on paper as of today have a nice team, have a good team. Um, all the factors come in. Who do you play? Who are the back-to-backs? When's the bye? What time are the games? And we'll talk about all of that in a week from today, Rams Nation. But if I had to bet some money on it, I'll just say for fun, real quick, a little prediction mark. Eagles game is in prime time. Lions game is in prime time for sure. A Niner game will be in prime time. And I will say, Jesus. I
Ravens,
have a weird
maybe.
feeling. I think Tampa Bay will be a prime time for whatever reason. I just kind of feel that way. And I think one more.
Ravens, maybe, or did you already say them?
Yeah, Ravens could, but for whatever reason, they haven't been putting our Ravens game in prime time for whatever reason. I'm going to say I don't know why. I think the NFL will do this. I think Atlanta will somehow be like a Thursday game or something on purpose, right? They'd be like, because there's a lot of storylines, right? Raheem, all the coaches, a
The
lot of coaches are from the Rams
the
there with him in
the
Atlanta.
trade.
The trade, right? A big year for them. Penix is now, marketable as like, hey, teams should be like, hey, we want to see Penix on prime time. So I can see that. So again, Eagles, which I think will be the kickoff game to start the season. Lions will be a prime time. What did I say? I said a Niner game will be in prime time for sure. Bucks and I think Falcons, but of course Baltimore, Houston. I mean, there's good options, but I think those five are mine. What about you, Mark? Real quick.
Yeah, I figured 4 or 5 primetime games, and the way I look at it is I've asked a couple of unbiased folks their opinion on this, and the Rams are a premier franchise. They are a premier
Yeah,
NFL franchise at this point. Um, you know, Screw the NFC East. They used to get like 19 primetime games between those teams, and I think fans across the country get pretty excited when the Rams are on TV is my
yeah.
gut feeling because they're
Uh,
usually a very fun team to watch and they're
Mark,
competitive. Go ahead.
Rams Nation. 4 out of the last 5 seasons, the Rams have started Week 1 in a primetime game. 2020, Rams Cowboys to open up the new stadium. 2021 to open up the new stadium with fans. It was Bears Rams was Stafford's first game where we dropped 40 points on them. 2022 was Banner Night, the kickoff game, right, against the Bills. We got whooped, but prime time. 2023 they said, you guys suck, so that didn't happen. And then 2024, I'm blanking for whatever reason right now. It was Lions Rams.
Right, right.
So 4 out of the last 5 years, we've started the season in prime time, basically since the SoFi era. So I expect it to be no different this year. And I think Eagles Rams is the kickoff game. I have a strong feeling. I haven't been told nothing, haven't heard anything. No one's came to me or any of that. I just have a strong feeling. So
And the
it'll make
and the viewership will be through the roof.
it'll be great again because I just picture the NFL office being like, okay, Eagles have annihilated everybody. What was the opponent that gave them a good game other than, maybe a game here or there in the regular season? It was the Rams. And everyone remembers that game just coming down to the wire. They'll be like, oh, let's do it again. And I just think,
Yeah.
you know,
And
I
and
just
the
think
other
that's what's going to
advantage,
happen.
and there's a third advantage aside from stealing an early win on the road against a premier opponent and the extra rest after that game, you're also getting them before the cold weather sets in. You don't
Yeah, that's
necessarily want to go to Philadelphia in late December, right?
no. And, snow games are fun. That playoff snow game's an iconic game now for what happened in it for a gazillion different reasons. But screw it. Let's play. Let's play when the grass is not wet, and we'll see what happens. You know that game will get tons of views. Mark
Yeah.
Devontae on the team now. Obviously, Puka, no cup,
Yeah.
banner night for them.
I
All our new signings, Puna. We'll see who starts at inside linebacker. Another year of Verse and Byron and them after they had a
Oh,
great game
wow.
against their O line. It just makes Jalen maybe's back on the team. I mean, makes way too much sense.
Yeah,
So
Verse back in
anyway,
Philly and Covey potentially back in Philly as well.
yeah. So this makes sense. So anyway, Rams Nation, we'll talk about it a week from now on the schedule release show that we'll do in tandem with whatever the NFL does earlier in that night. So that's our long, prediction slash, for fun guessing on all that. But we shall see what happens. But again, I expect 5 primetime games to happen for sure with the Rams. You never know; they might be flexing to more primetime if other teams suck later in the year, November, December, yada yada yada. But man, Mark, a lot of fun stuff. The off season is a weird time of the year, especially this part, right? Off season program is unfolding for the players. That's good. We'll start to hear stuff from them as time goes on. We'll start hearing more about how rookies are doing and how well or not well they're doing, right? And we'll get info on that. And then, hey, maybe trades start heating up for us. Maybe we'll get, news on these uniforms and helmets. We'll see about how the Maui stuff went down, or how that's going to unfold completely. And, there's a lot of stuff to talk about still, Rams Nation. So make sure to tune in with us. We'll keep
And
going.
they'll probably start dropping a couple of scheduled games a couple of days before, usually, right? Or
Yeah,
the
I'm sure
day
they'll
of.
do
Yeah.
Sunday
Yeah.
night, Monday night, Thursday night,
Well,
whatever other Christmas Day, Thanksgiving. I'm sure they'll do all that before, which I think they did last year as well. So plenty to talk about, Rams Nation. Plenty to talk about during this offseason with us. So if you're on the YouTube, again, like this video. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Put that notification bell on so you get all our updates with all the new videos that are being dropped throughout this time. And if you're on the podcast only side of things, share this podcast with everyone that you know. All this helps the algorithms with other Rams fans to be able to see these videos, to see this podcast, to see our channel. So either way you decide to do it, we very much appreciate that, Rams Nation. And Mark, before we get out of here, anything else?
no, let's just count down to that schedule release, and
Yeah.
we'll be back on Wednesday night to talk about it.
We will be back, but if anything else crazy happens, you'll see me or Mark or us together. You know it, Rams Nation. And man, oh man, I'm excited to see how all these things unfold. Uniforms, Ramsey, schedule, all of it. But never forget, Rams Nation. Go Rams, baby.